Okay, we got quite a bit to unpack here. So, let's see, where do I want to begin here? Let's begin with looking at the rhythm section for the solo. And I added some stuff. I examined what I saw tabbed out from a video I've been referencing to get ideas like on exactly what's being played here. And then I watched, what is his name? Alex Skolnick. I never remember how to pronounce his last name. Well, he does a playthrough of the actual solo. There's a freaking gnat in here. God damn it, we have a gnat problem in this apartment. We learned that they come up through the freaking drains. Because of the shared plumbing, we might have some filthy ass people in this place, causing a gnat problem for us. Hey, we didn't expect that for the recap. There we go. Anyway, right, Alex did a playthrough of the solo, and it seems like it's at least extremely close to what I have been referencing that has the tab up on the screen. So, and then I tested it out with playing the different scales over the different bars and whatnot. So, the scales that I got listed up here, basically you'll see two things marked. And so the first time through, it seems like for these three bars, he's focused on just using like E minor pentatonic, which fits perfectly with the E minor scale. I mean, the E minor pentatonic is in the E minor scale. It uses the exact same notes, -2. So E minor pentatonic, G, A, B, and D. So it's just missing the F sharp and the C. So you could arguably go between the two and it would be all right. There's just a problem though. There is a problem though. This note or this chord here and here, the chord is so fast, like it happens so fast, and it's gone, that it's probably not going to be a big deal. Like you're not going to have too big of a chance to have a big clash of notes that don't belong together in terms of what sounds nice. So it makes sense that like the pentatonic would work fine because that chord in there or here, and that fits the blues scale. But anyway, when you're soloing on top of it, even though that chord steps out of key a little bit, it's not there for very long, so it's not a big deal. You can still solo with the pentatonic or the Aeolian just fine, which, I mean, clearly just fine, because that's what he does. That's what the solo actually is. But anyway, so yeah, the first time through, it seems like he's just focused on the pentatonic. Second time through, that's when he's just... I think that part where he's like changing all the... using these octave shapes. But anyway, and then this bar here, when he goes to that B5, he changes the mode. So it sounds like the first time, I don't remember what the solo was or even close to it, but it's based off of actually it was like some crazy ass thing over here, but it's based off of harmonic minor. Like, so he's playing notes in E harmonic minor for that one bar the first time through. When the repeat happens, he's doing blues scale. And then here, for these two bars, the first time through, he is using your Aeolian or the minor scale for both of those bars. Now, the second time through, he plays notes in Dorian based on the solo thing that I saw, because he ends up hitting these two 14s and these 12s, which would place it in Dorian, E Dorian, which makes sense because of that F sharp 5. Like those three chords there are in E Dorian. Because those notes are in E Dorian, those notes are in E Dorian, those notes are in E Dorian. But then when it goes to that C5, that's not an E Dorian anymore. So, first time through, again, he's using just E minor scale. Second time through, so you got some Dorian for one bar, and then minor for that very next bar. So it's a very fast change. Very fast change. So again, the second time through, that would be Dorian, and then he goes to Aeolian there. This bar. So the first time through, he plays some E harmonic minor. And then the second time, first time through, he's using E harmonic minor. Second time, it's just minor pentatonic. First time through for this bar, he's using the minor blues scale, or blues scale. Second time through, there's two ways of looking at it. Second time through, he begins a very long or a fast scale run type thing. And he starts it on F sharp. So that's why I got two things listed here. So if we keep using E as the tonal center, it would be E Dorian that you can use for that. But because he is starting on F sharp, you could look at it as F sharp Phrygian, which I think is a little bit easier to fiddle around in, because with that, you're always starting on the 14th fret of every string. That's with the F sharp Phrygian. With the E Dorian, you got that little shift between starting down on the 11 or starting on the 12 for the different strings. So, yeah, it could be easier. I think that it's easier to mess around in these shapes here, or the F sharp Phrygian one. So this way you're always starting on the 14th fret instead of having to go back and forth between the 12 and the 11. But either, I mean, you can combine the two as well. Whoops. Anyway, and then after that, so when the solo, whoops, I forgot to put the repeat back on there because I was trying something. And after that, the scale run continues when the rhythm switches to just pedaling, or not pedaling, just palm muting the B flat 5. So in that instance, he uses, at the very end of the scale run, he changes, which note was it? Right. No. Oh no. I'm playing in the wrong spot. No wonder I'm throwing myself off. I accidentally started on G instead of F sharp. It's like, wait a minute, what have I done? Yeah, so the previous bar, when he starts that scale run on the F sharp, when he continues the scale run, when the B flat 5 is being played, what he does is he starts to use the B flat note. So he takes the B note in the F sharp Phrygian, changes it to, did I say, what the hell did I just say? No, he takes, sorry, F sharp Phrygian, F sharp G, A. So when he starts the scale run here on that second time through, he's using basically the F sharp Phrygian notes. And then when the, I guess technically in this case I would need to label it as A sharp 5. when we go to the A sharp 5, he takes the A notes in the F sharp Phrygian, sharpens it to A sharp, which changes it to F sharp Phrygian dominant. And again, if we want to use E as the tonal center still, that would make it E Dorian sharp 4. Of course, you can use both scale shapes. But, you know, it's such a short piece of music that, you know, it's going to be gone in an instant anyway. So I do have, that's right, we had a couple things. Let's look at this. So it's basically going like in order that these things are listed in the song there. You got your E minor pentatonic, E harmonic minor, E minor, the Aeolian mode, and then the blues scale, and then E Dorian, and then the E Dorian sharp 4, and then so directly underneath the E Dorian is the F sharp Phrygian. So those notes are the same. Just notice here that this is the 12th fret, and down here that's the 14th fret. Okay, so and like E Dorian and F sharp Phrygian, exact same notes, just different tonal center. It's really because it's, you know, that E5 chord is like the tonal center for most of this. It's safe to say that E Dorian is really what the mode is at that point. But you can use either one of those shapes to visualize what you can use over that. And then, yeah, the Dorian sharp 4. But that's the same set of notes as the F sharp Phrygian dominant. And you could say, let's see, what would that be? So that would be the 5th mode. It basically goes kind of like B harmonic minor, but not really at the end there. Anyway, went off on a mental tangent there. But yeah, so you can use those shapes as reference to solo on top of this thing here. And certainly set it at like a slower tempo, so this way it's easier to follow along with. So I'm going to put it at 50% speed here. And then just kind of follow what those shapes are saying. was changing shapes or, the different modes as it's showing up on the screen there, as it's labeled. The other thing you can do to really simplify it is what I sent yesterday, and it's using this stuff. So let's see, the way I got it set up is kind of like the foundational scale, right? So you got the pentatonic, and then you have the blues note added in. The extended blues notes, let's scroll down a little bit. And then this big old thing here, which is just kind of showing different, the same notes laid out in different ways. Like, it's nice to be able to see, like, building little patterns. Yeah, trying to like see little patterns with easy to use patterns within all those notes there. Now, one thing that's not listed there is this G sharp, which can work on occasion. Problem is, if I put that in there, we'd have just like a giant chromatic thing all over the place. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but might get a bit ridiculous. You could throw that in there every now and then, though, and it could work. So, fucking Matt. Is this the first time I swore like that on a recap for you? Goodness, these things are a menace. They're a menace. I don't even think I got it. Anyway, let's go back to the, here we go. Still playing along slowly here. See, it all kind of works. Through that note, and there's like a passing thing, and that can work. See, I threw in that G sharp again. That's not listed. So again, you could do that if you want to just experiment with how it sounds. Sticking with this, all these notes here, it's like a fail-safe. Like, all sounds good for this progression. So yeah, to me, it's more fun just to stick within that one scale shape instead of, or those group of notes, instead of thinking like, all right, I got to change the mode, I got to change the mode, I got to change the mode. But musically, it could be more interesting to do the mode change stuff. You just got to be aware of when you can. So I think that about covers it. I think maybe next time I can put together a progression for you that would allow you to do like a mode change on purpose and not have it be, not have too much thought involved. So this way you can have more fun with it. I mean, I don't want to have to sit there and think about, I got to change mode here, I got to change the mode here, I got to change the mode there. I don't want to do that. But the thing, that's for improv stuff, though. Because he did a really good playthrough, Alex did, the guy who made the solo, because he did a playthrough just playing along with the actual track, and he was playing it note for note. It was nice to hear a little bit of, it wasn't 100% lined up with everything on the record, so it was clearly a real performance, which is good, and that's to be expected. It's just nice to see real performances nowadays, with all the everyone faking the hell out of things and editing the crap out of it nowadays. Anyway, so it proves that is a written solo. Like, that is a solo done with purpose, so he clearly put a lot of thought into what he did, because he's choosing to change modes and use certain notes over the different chords when those chords happen. So that's one way of doing it. You know, writing a solo. Improving a solo is a different thing, but in order to write a solo, you need to do some improvisation to get to the writing portion, because you got to fiddle around with stuff, see what you like, and then start writing down, you know, putting on paper what you actually do like, or at least commit it to memory, or put it in Guitar Pro, things like that. All right, have fun with that, and any questions, let me know. I will see you again next week.